All right, here we go again. Ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, fishing accomplices, good morning and welcome back to fishing. So we are now in the end of June, and today's a significant day because it is my first day of summer break. I finished another school year teaching, somehow, and we are on the water. So I decided that I want to make a very good day out of this first day of the break. I'm going to fish quite hard. I've got most of the day if I want it. We'll see if we actually take it depending on how things go. Looks like it's going to be fairly sunny out. We're going to have some winds, but long story short, we are going to mess around in the Sound. I was 50-50 about fishing here in the South Shore, but I decided in the Sound because these bass have been around, big bass, and I don't know how much longer they're going to be around, so I figure this is an opportunity that we don't have for too much longer. At least that's what I expect, at least the way it looks right now. Fluke will be around the South Shore for quite some time to come, I hope. But the bass, every day they're here is basically a gift at this point. At least with the way things were last time. Water temps were really warm. Though surprisingly right now, water temps I'm reading 65, which is down quite a bit from the last time I was here. But then again, we did have some thunderstorms last night. So that aside, we are going to work some spots that I think bass could be at. We're going to try and get them on lures, but if that doesn't work or if that dies out, we're going to switch to bait if we can find it. And if the bass just is a complete bust, we're going to work some shallower structure to see if we can find some fluke. So let's see what we can do, and I hope you stick around. It's true, because it's time to get some fishing accomplished. All right, as per usual, we'll toss out a large Elias V shad, 7-inch. Slow troll this to where we're going, just in case there's any stragglers or wandering bass. But obviously if we see something, we'll stop. If we hook something, we'll turn the camera back on. Starting to see some signs of life. Nothing crazy yet. It is outgoing tide today, which has been tough for me, but this is a much better outgoing tide than the last time I was here. So hopefully these fish are a bit more cooperative this morning on lures than they were last time. Big, but maybe better. I don't know. Doesn't feel like a particularly big fish. Little guy, but start somewhere. Much of this as we can while we can get them on a lure. Yeah, not so unlike last time. The fish were around, but they were just really picky, and I guess that's kind of the thing to expect when we get this late into the spring / early summer bite. But they were around. It just took a lot of coercion to make them bite, and I tried, like before, pretty much anything that I thought could work. And if I was seeing bunker, I would have used it, but I did not see any schools of bunker. So it was basically lures or nothing on this particular morning. All right, any second now the tide should start moving. These fish are not touching anything. If I can get some bunker, that would probably make a difference, but I'm not seeing any bunker, so we're gonna try a bunker imitation. Got our flutter spoon here. I still haven't caught anything on one of these. I know they can work, but see if we can change that today. Get back on top of these fish and get on something. Go on the flutter spoon. That's a first. Feels weird. It's a bass. Not a big one, but Not a huge one, rather, but I'll take it. Well, that's okay. Good to know it's an option. Right back down. First hook up on a flutter spoon, so that's cool. Not long after losing that fish, the bass pretty much started to dwindle in numbers. There were still a few around, but they were not as solidly present as they were in previous sessions. So after a little while of this, I decided it was time to switch strategies and switch over to some bottom fishing. Okay, it doesn't look like the morning bass bite's really going to happen right now, so we're going to switch to bottom fishing. Try some new spots. I got time today and told myself I didn't want to just do the same thing over and over again if we didn't have to, so that's why we're here. Oh, looks like there's a bass right here. But we're going to try and jig some fluke potentially. Outgoing tide. Just going to try some areas of interest, see how that looks. We'll start here and bounce around, see what we can do. Already getting bit. Should have some drift right now, which should help. It's a good sign that something hit it as soon as it hit the bottom, so no idea what. Does look like there's a little fuzz down there, so always a good thing. There he is. It's a fluke, I think. Yeah, it's a fluke, I think. Yep, first fluke of this area. Good sign. Nice little Long Island Sound fluke, western end. Let's get back down. Finally broke the ice from that front. Fishing for fluke here. See what else we can find. Could be a lot of stuff here. We're about 30 feet of water, so I wouldn't even be surprised if there were some sea bass hanging out here in some of the structure. And the season is open now, though I don't generally catch keepers here until the fall. Yeah, so with the bass not really cooperating, I decided to go all in for bottom fishing, and I wanted to try and look at different places that I haven't really explored in this area, and it was tough. Unlike further west in the Sound or further east in the Sound, I wasn't really seeing any kind of bait and any kind of, pattern. Every so often I'd see a few blobs here or there, but it wasn't like they were stacked bait or any kind of signs of life for that matter. So I went all over the place. I went very close to shore and shallow. I worked my way out deep and everywhere in between. It seemed like the sweet spot was really kind of just gravitating towards heavier structure, whether that be soft or hard, in probably the 20 to pushing 35, 40 foot zone. But it was challenging, and once that tide started to slow down, it did not make matters any easier, but we persevered and did the best we could. Something. Come on. That's a fluke. Tiny fluke. Take it though. It's been slow. Hope we can lead into some kind of pattern here. It's something. Sea robin? Yep. All right, sea robin. Puts our fish species count today to 3. Not that that's something we're trying to pursue, but for the record. That's better. That's much better. I don't think it's a keeper, but I don't think it's a fluke. I don't think this is a fluke. You gotta be kidding me. Whatever. It's like a good 15-incher probably. It's interesting that these toggle hit lures this time of year, I guess, because I don't particularly see this a lot, but as I referenced, I'm in New York right now, but starting next week, there is a limited tog season in Connecticut, so that is something I'm going to try and utilize or make good on, at least in the first part of the summer. But for today, we are looking for really just fluke to keep, and maybe stray sea bass if any of them wander through here, but not holding my breath. But fun to catch those tog nonetheless. Another blackfish. It's not a fluke. Porgy? All right, first porgy of the year. We're just stacking up all the fish. So porgy, blackfish, fluke, sea robin, and striper. Gotta be a bit bigger for me to want to keep them. Probably not even legal anymore since they've changed the regs a bit. Fluke. Not big, but just happy to be on fish right now. That works for me. Another baby fluke. Definitely dialed in some kind of pattern here, but just not a great tide. Yeah, so the name of the game today was really just to try and explore new areas that I hadn't fished before. Part of it, too, was just trying to find some kind of consistent pattern. And once the tide died and approached slack, this spot basically was not yielding any action. So I decided to move around, try and see if I can find bait or anything. And I went all over the place to mixed results. So we'll jump to that now. This spot is shallow, but I feel like I'm marking bait. Well, not feel, I'm pretty sure I am marking some scattered small bait, and it does look like, you know, since this area is so narrow, there is a little bit more tidal movement. So I'm gonna give this a shot for at least the next 20 minutes, you know, fishing around this point. I'm gonna go with the Gulp paddle shad. This is a 4-inch, and we got a 1/2 ounce jig head. We're just gonna work this and see if we can get something. Definitely did get at least one bite before. Nothing crazy, but something nonetheless. After that time, it's got some weight. I think he's fouled. Feels decent. Snag porgy. Knew something was up. Whatever. Good to have something on the end of the line. Bass on Gulp. I think so. That's a little bit of a surprise. Still bass here. And they hit this, so who knows, maybe I can just fish for bass. Now this tide is incoming. Feels like a good fish. a little gulp grub, nonetheless. Yeah, it's a nice little guy. It's like a slightly underslot fish. Nice little schoolie striper and the gulp grub of all things. Broad daylight, so casted at them all morning, nothing, and then no problem getting the gulp. But that was just one. I doubt it's going to happen again. But prove me wrong. What is that? I think it's a good fluke. Decent fluke. I don't think he's a keeper. It's really lightening up, but happy to get any kind of fluke, honestly. Hailed it. Be really curious what these guys are feeding on. Covered in little like sea lice things. Sea bass? Feels like a sea bass. You gotta be kidding me, man. Another tog on the gulp. It's just very strange. Fish are hitting lures. Another blackfish. Big old porgy. Not the worst thing in the world. At least it's something in season. It's legal. I'm not gonna keep it, but
yeah, so this was a pretty tough one, I'm not going to lie. Perhaps I would have been better served fishing the South Shore. Regardless, I'm happy I went. I did find some interesting areas on the bottom that I typically don't fish, and I think will pay off once the bait starts to move in a bit and the water temps go up just a little bit. But otherwise, it was an interesting one. Got a lot of different variety of fish, even though they were particularly challenging to get. I'm not quite sure what's up with this tog thing on the plastic. Up until this season, I never really had it happen, yet this has been a recurring thing. I don't make videos of every session I fished, and at least on 2 other occasions, I've gotten multiple tog on lures. So I don't know if it's because I'm fishing smaller stuff now, they have an easier time taking the hook. Who knows? But yeah, that's going to do it for this one. Thank you for watching as always and your continued support. More stuff on the horizon soon. Catch you in the next one. Goodbye from Fishing.